Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Jim Riordan. I'm the director of the FAU MBA and Sport Management Program. And we are honored and privileged to have one of our own in terms of an FAU Al, one of the many NFL players that have come through the FAU practice field and stadiums, Mr. Greg Joseph, now with the Tennessee Titans, going to be starting his second year there. But we're going to have Craig here today for a little bit to just talk about a variety of different things about his career at FAU, how he got to FAU, how he got to the pros, how he has moved on from team to team. Maybe even at the end, we'll talk about the famous life of the famous categories that kickers are placed in, field goal kickers sometimes. I can see a smile there, but Greg, welcome. It's great to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here and looking forward to today.
Awesome. Greg, for those that do not know, is a native of Johannesburg, South Africa, has come to the United States, is living. You're still in Boca, are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is home. This is where all my family is, and I grew up here. After I moved here, so I love it here.
Okay. Played at American Heritage Del Rey, but the interesting thing is that you only played 1 year of football and managed to be a Max Preps All-American. How amazing is that?
Yeah, it was fun. I was a soccer player. Soccer is my passion. It was my first love, and I just happened to be one of the taller kids. They asked me if I wanted to come try kicking a football, and bam, closed my eyes, and I was lucky enough, worked hard enough to get a spot at FAU, and went from there.
I'm going to get to something that happened in your freshman year that is the cringe of every soccer coach that lets his soccer players kick on the football team as well. And you probably know what I'm talking about. Usually they tell the person to, just kick off and get out of the way. I had a friend in high school once, and the soccer coach, he begged, the player begged the soccer coach to let him play football, to kick off in football, and goes, only if you promise me that you get out of the way and don't make any tackles. Okay, and the kid promised him, and the first time he goes out there, he kicks the ball and makes a tackle and gets injured. You went out and you actually got named by the team Special Teams Player of the Week in one of your, because you made a game-saving, touchdown saving tackle.
Yeah, UTSA freshman year. Yeah, it was just a normal kickoff, and I saw the guy break loose, and I just tried to run as fast as I can. Thank God, I guess I learned some sort of angles from my soccer days, and somehow caught up to him and pushed him out of bounds. And a couple plays later, I believe Cravon broke up a pass, and we won the game. That was huge. I haven't thought of that in a while, but that's a good memory.
That's amazing. Well, I cheated. I looked on the website for it, so but it's a great memory. So you came to FAU in 2013. You worked out with the team in preseason workouts. They liked you enough. They invited you back to spring practice, and the following year you're kicking off in Tuscaloosa and Wyoming and Nebraska and all those places. Interesting. So you made enough of an impression. And, I feel bad saying this, but I can't remember the kicker that was there before you at FAU. So, you're the one that sticks out in my mind. The guys now do. And I guess people associate winning teams with good kickers.
Yeah, first of all, I mean, that's very nice of you to say, so I appreciate it. But yeah, so I worked out with the team in, camp and that summer workouts with my true freshman year, but that I was actually cut. So that's why they invited me back. I thought I did well. I thought I solidified myself as the second string kicker. I was like, okay, I'm a true freshman. The kicker was Mitch Anderson before me, and he was a senior. And I was like, I'll learn behind Mitch for a year. This will be great. They told me that the roster numbers, they had to work on it and stuff. So they let go of two of us actually, and a punter, I believe, that year. And yeah, so it was kind of a blessing in disguise, though. I used that year. I was a normal student. I could have decided for, my college career to go one of two ways. I could have just been normal, went down the party, the normal student, the whatever type of route, or I just decided to put my head down and work. And that's what I did. I got with my kicking coach a lot more. I had a lot more time to work on me and, develop Greg Joseph, and came back that spring. did well in the tryout, and this was with the new coaching staff too, so it helped to have a clean slate. And yeah, from that point on, I prided myself on not missing a single rep. From that point till I graduated, I didn't want anyone else to take a field goal or a kickoff rep. Besides Greg Joseph.
Hearing you say this now, it brings back memories. I should tell our audience that this is not the first time Greg and I have spoken regarding his career and his aspirations and his time in the NFL. Greg was a guest speaker in an undergraduate class that I had a couple of years ago, and related some of the same experiences about the importance to you of being a regular student and experiencing the college life. You're hearing that more and more these days, where way back in the day, you came on, you were put into the football dorm or the basketball dorm, and never the twain shall meet again, in terms of, you went to class and you just get out of the way. But now the whole thing is the athletes, especially today, in today's situation, becoming more involved with each other, becoming more involved with the general student population, and getting involved in other activities besides sport. I mean, back even in the 70s or 60s, I don't believe there was a student athlete academic or advisory council, like a student like a
Hmm.
student government association for athletes, which I believe you were involved as well, right?
Yeah, I got involved my sophomore year, and then junior year I ran for vice president and got vice president, and then senior year I was president of it. Um, got that was very cool because I got to hang out with a lot of good people, a lot of good athletes from different sports, and we updated each other what was going on. We try to get stuff done for the greater good of the athletes as a whole, and it was a great experience. It was fun. I learned a lot.
It's great too. You were the president. That means you got involved
Mhm.
with the board of athletic advisors that
Yeah.
which I'm on, and the
Hmm.
intercollegiate athletic advisory board. And starting with yourself, and even the person before you, and going forward, we've had a tremendous uh, amount of success with the presidents from that organization in participating in our advisory board. So we really lucked out on that and had some good people work with that.
Absolutely.
So absolutely. So we cut ahead, since you were a redshirt freshman. We cut ahead to your graduate year, and that was when some guy Kiffin was here throwing the ball
Yeah.
all over the yard, and some guy
Yeah.
Devin maybe. Every time he touched the ball, he had to run for 100 yards down to them yellow things in the middle of the field. Um, so that's always good, because that means that you're really never out of work too long, are you?
No, what we did with Lane was awesome. It was nice, and I still keep in touch with Coach Partridge, and he's one hell of a guy. But
Yes.
it was nice to win. I'd had 3 consecutive years of going 3-9. It was nice to turn it around my senior year and try to lead that class, to winning. And obviously, I can control what I can control, but I tried to be a leader in the aspect of working hard and just doing everything else right. um, but yeah, it's when you score a lot of touchdowns and you only kick PATs for the most part, you win a lot of games, and that's it was a lot of game planning, a lot of hard work by the guys, and like you said, whenever Motor touched the ball, he's unbelievable. He's still doing unbelievable things in the NFL, and I think he let me have the crown of all-time points leader in FAU history. I think for a couple weeks, and then he took me over, or however long it may have been.
Well, you do have the record of the completed field goals, successful field goal was 57, and then you're
Hmm.
tied for extra points with 165. So
Okay.
yeah, again,
Yeah,
I
it's
cheated.
no, it's obviously, they're all great. I just my whole thing was I wanted to contribute as much as I can to help the team in any which way I can. So the individual accolades are great and all, but it's not what I hang my hat on at the end of the day. I hang my hat on us coming together as a team my senior year and being able to win conference championship in our bowl game. And that'll always mean more to me than the individual accolades.
Lot of fun times there, going, watching,
Hmm.
and seeing everybody participate. One of those seasons, sort of like last year, where every time you guys stepped out on the field, for me as a fan, I said, we're probably going to win this game. Certainly in the conference, and certainly going forward. And obviously in the Boca Raton Bowl too. Akron, I believe it was 53-3 or something like that.
I think
Or
it was 50-3. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, there was something about with the way Kiffin had, and I mean, it was a lot of Wilson Love too. He's absolutely great. It was we had teams. There was something different in the air, and I've taken this, to this is something I hold close to me because I use it in the NFL. We had teams beat before we even stepped down the field, and that was a very cool feeling. So I've taken that competitive mindset and I use it in a lot of different aspects of my life.
yeah. One of the things that'll stick out with me for that Boca Raton Bowl, the Cherry Bundy Tart Boca Raton Bowl, which is Cherry Bundy is now gone away, and God bless Cherry Bundy. I've used the product and this and that. It's a lot to say for a bowl game consistently.
Yeah, we had
So we
fun that
just say
week saying it.
so we were a sponsor for the Boca Raton Bowl, and we took ads. I don't know if you remember, they built cabanas in the end zone,
Hmm.
cabanas like suites, like temporary suites, and it was in the end zone that we had our logo, our name, FAU MBA Sport Management, and it was that end zone that you guys went in the first half. And I don't know how many points you scored, you kept scoring and scoring, and I saw the tape, and our name kept getting up there. We had a tremendous amount of impressions. The only problem is that we had to switch sides in the second half, and you guys went the other way, and Akron was going that way, and they couldn't throw the ball in the ocean that day.
Yeah.
Tom Bowden, Terry Bowden, and
Hmm.
so that was it. So we had our one half of exposure when you guys did all the scoring, and I was very grateful for that. So thank you. Um,
No, it's a better than no halves of exposure.
that's right. That's right. Um, so yeah, so so you're there, you graduate, and that year you also set the record against Navy, albeit in a losing cause,
Oh
but
yeah.
you kicked the 54-yard field goal, which today is still the longest in program history.
Yeah, that one felt good. That was a lot of fun because I think that was a big game as far as all the kicking records go, if my memory serves me correctly. But there was one later on that year when Kiffin put me on for 56 against Middle Tennessee, and I went from the moment I hit it, I knew it was going in, but one of their guys got through and it got blocked. And but hey, it is what it is. I wouldn't change a thing about my FEU journey, period, including that. But it would have been nice to have. But yeah, the 54 felt good and definitely another fond moment of my memory as far as just being on the field.
That's a great segue because I want to get into now. So you've had a tremendous career at FAU, both in the classroom and on the field. Give us just a little bit, and I hope I'm not putting you on the spot too much. Just some of the general memories you've had of FAU overall, being there and what you enjoyed about being there, and football and
Yeah.
non-football.
So my main thing was, in high school, I was like every other high school kid. I'm like, I want to go away from home and I want to go experience college. Um, Boy, and being from here, that I thought I wanted to go to North Carolina, but I am so glad I stayed here. I had an absolute blast. I had a great group of friends, and or have a great group of friends because we all still keep in touch. We're all still local, um, and my experience was amazing because I love being able to go to class and then 15 minutes later be at the beach.
Yeah,
So that's something I'll always hold. And that's something that sits in my memories. But my undergrad too was exercise science and health promotion. Absolutely loved it. Loved every minute of it. Um, I learned a lot undergrad that I still put to use today, and taking care of my body, what's good for me, what's not good for me, so on and so forth. And then the MBA just topped it all off because I knew I was here. I like being that guy that if I'm doing something, I'm doing something. I don't just I want to do it right and I want to give it everything I've got. So worked to graduate my undergrad in 3 years, and knew I'd have time for the MBA, and thankful for it all because learned a lot. Absolutely had a blast. Had good peers in undergrad and graduate, and that's something I'll always remember is the people in the classes too. Like being in some classes with Tyler and Tyler Cameron and in the grad program, and some other athletes in exercise science program. It was fun.
yeah. I should have mentioned at the beginning. Greg completed his MBA in health administration. Um,
Hmm.
an outstanding program. We have two iterations of it. We have one in the exec ed program, and we also have it in the regular MBA program as well, where you go the traditional, 4 nights a week and what have you, and got that done. And outstanding, very impressive, very proud of what you guys did. We had another player, I believe, Shalom Ogbanda. I believe he got a MBA from there. It might have been a few years before you, or no?
Yes, I was on the team with him, but I don't think I had class with him. I think he finished up before I got in.
Okay.
I think he had 2 years on me, which would time up to that. But yeah, the pipeline just, got better and better as I was going through, more and more athletes coming through the MBA program, which is awesome. You want to see that, and you want to see us using our time wisely to not just, try to get one degree, but why not two? Why not a master's degree?
Smart thing to do. I
Absolutely.
I have no arguments with that. That's for sure. We've had some great folks come through our program. Hayden Nagel, Jake Stoshak, all have MBAs in sport management. Ray Ellis is going to be finishing up
Oh wow.
this year. Yeah.
Who would have thought after year 8 of eligibility for him?
I hope he's watching this. Yeah, I kid him about that every now and then, and he's a real good sport. I said, you got to
He
be
is.
taking all that stuff. Yeah.
Absolutely, he is.
Yeah, no. So we have some great folks. We have some great experiences, and we have some of the GA coaches that are involved now getting their MBA as well. So
Oh, cool.
really, we have a really good, not just in football, but throughout athletics. And that's what we're here for. We're here to produce people and give opportunities, and throughout the entire university, and especially the College of Business as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, that's exactly what you guys did, because I was preparing. You can't count on the NFL.
Yep.
Unless you're Baker Mayfield coming out of college, you can't count on the NFL. Anything can happen. So I wanted to prepare myself for the best way, even if it wasn't going to happen. I knew I was going to give the NFL everything I had in me, but I always have a plan B. And that's why I went forward for what I did. Based on my undergrad, I love, hospitality and exercise science part of things. And I've shadowed doctors in hospitals, but I didn't want to be a doctor. So that's why I figured it was next best for me, working behind the scenes at a hospital. That's why, I went for my MBA and, health admin, because I get to be there, I get to see how things run, and I get to help people. And that was right down my alley.
That is absolutely tremendous. Obviously, what the true meaning, the Webster's definition of what a student athlete should be, and
I
you
appreciate
really
it.
to be commended for that. Again, another perfect segue, because now we played in the final game in the Boca Raton Bowl game, okay, and now everybody either one of the things, we're getting ready to go to the combine, we're getting ready to go on with our lives, we're getting ready to become a possible free agent. But a lot of people, even that didn't have aspirations, are getting ready for pro day. They're at the school's pro day. So again, take us. I guess maybe in the email I sent to you, I called it the dead zone in
Mm-hmm.
between that last game and what you had to do. And I remember meeting your mom at pro day. I was there for pro day, and just thinking of what happens. What happens after pro day now, and what happens. Were you anticipating possibly getting drafted? I'm sure you had an agent at that point. I'm going to shut up and let you talk about that.
So yeah, it's a lot of fun. That whole experience. It's a time in my life that I'll never forget, because of how much I wanted to better myself, and how much I tried to better myself in all aspects, not just football. Um, I think if I would have known now what I knew in college, my kicking career would have looked completely different. And obviously, it's easy to say that, but the reason I say that is because how much work I put in and how much better I believe I got from that last game senior year to pro day is was amazing to me. And
Sure.
I'm forever thankful to the people that helped me, because that's what needed to happen. I did have an agent. I had a bunch of teams calling me. I think I spoke with, maybe a little less than half, probably 12 to 14 teams before pro day. So I knew there was interest. And there's camps you can go to. And I had a serious talk with my mom before then, and I was like, I've come this far. Why not just go this extra mile, see what happens? If nothing happens, I'm about to finish up my MBA and I go on with life. And I walk away with, nothing left behind. I'll have no regrets. If I don't try it, I'll have a huge regret and not knowing what could have been. So that was a mistake I didn't want to make. My mom completely agreed with me. So I went out to some combines for specialists in Arizona. I did well there. I charted amongst the top kickers in both field goal and kickoff. So, that definitely helped. And yeah, then pro day came around, and we were just Rickle and I, who was the punter at the time, the same year as me, while the other guys were doing all of the stuff on the field, we were just waiting in the stadium. I was just laying down with my legs up, just waiting
I
for the
remember
call
that.
to, yeah, well, I was just waiting for, someone to call me, like one of the ops guys or even my mom, just be like, hey, yeah, we're wrapping up here. We'll be over soon. So when we got that call, we went down to the stadium field, started getting warm. And yeah, performed in front of, I don't remember the exact amount of scouts that were there, but yeah, had to, whatever they asked me to do, I did. I kicked field goals, I kicked off, and that was you would think that was super nerve-wracking, but I tend to go into this zone of, once I'm kicking, it's just me and the ball. Even today in games, like all that crowd noise, I zone out once I black out once I'm on the field. And yeah, I actually got invited to the Miami Dolphins local pro day, which a bunch of local athletes do. And that just happened to be a week before our pro day. So that probably helped. I mean, and it did help an immense amount, just being able to cope with NFL coaches and, scouts watching you. Um, but I had this unique sense of, pride and accomplishment after pro day. And I'll always remember it, like walking out the stadium for what I really considered my last time. Just looking around and just, thinking about what just happened and not knowing what direction my life would take. It was a super cool feeling.
Yeah, it was the quote is, "My job is done here. My work is done here." As you're walking out, and
Exactly.
it's
Because
all in the
I,
field.
yeah, after the Terry Bundy Tart Cherry bowl game, whatever it may be, I remember, I went out there, and because that was, we thought the conference championship would be our last game. Obviously, it didn't turn out to be our last game at home. So now I knew that that bowl game was my actual last game there. I walked out and I took it all in. Um, but that, in my mind, that doesn't really strike me as the last time as after pro day, because then it was like just like you said, like my work is done here. I've done everything I can do to this point now, and it was just I put in the work, and my whole thing that whole time was put your head down and work. I didn't care what people said. I didn't care what anything. Put your head down and work, and I was just trying to make it, and that was a very cool moment, and I was proud of myself.
That's awesome. Absolutely amazing. So pro day's done. We're in the middle, I guess, of the summer almost, or not summer, but I guess we're going into the summer. Um, what next? Are you just waiting to hear from teams? Are you anticipating anything at the draft, or are you just going to look at the free agency and tell us what happened? Basically, how did you get the call from Cleveland, or did you get calls from other people
Yeah,
after that?
so leading up to it, I got calls from a bunch of teams. The Ravens, the Jets, the Titans actually, a lot of talk with the Dolphins, the Redskins, the Texans. I didn't actually hear anything from Cleveland, but going through the draft, I was texting a couple coaches, and they text you, they keep you updated. The Vikings too, and they text you like, hey, you're still in contention, for I got a text saying you're still in contention to be drafted in the seventh round or signed as a free agent. Like, what's your status? What's going on? A bunch of coaches just keep checking up on you, because after the draft ends, it's complete mayhem. Coach,
I bet.
everyone's trying to get in touch with your agent. Everyone's trying to get in touch with you. They want you to sign you as a undrafted free agent. So I knew I wasn't going to be drafted. I knew if I was going to be drafted, it was going to be in the last day. So I went up to my agent's office. I'm not with them anymore, but my old agent's office, which was in Fort Lauderdale. So I was just hanging out there so I could be efficient and get stuff done. Um, with the seventh round coming to a close, we're like, okay, we're probably not going to get drafted, but let's get ready for what's going to happen. Um, so we had everything out ready for us. We got calls right after the draft from, I believe, the Jets, the Texans, the Redskins, and the Dolphins. All very quickly, one after the other. Agents handling calls. I'm trying to handle calls. We're trying to work out deals. And they're all offering you like, hey, we want to sign you as an undrafted free agent. They offer you like different sign bonuses. They offer you different this, that. They're all trying to sell you on like, we don't know what's going on with our kicker. We don't know what's going on with this. But the Dolphins, I'm still very close with Cody. He actually just had a baby today. So Cody
Wow.
Parkey was the
Yeah,
kicker.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, he was the kicker prior, but he left Miami and went to Chicago. So Miami had no kicker, and they drafted Jason Sanders in the seventh. So as well as having the best relationship with Coach Rizzi, who's absolutely awesome, I decided to sign undrafted with the Dolphins and go head to head in competition with a rookie, as opposed to going, to Houston or Washington, where I'd have to go head to head with a veteran and, probably not be given much as a shot. So that was my decision. And so, yeah, that's how it happened. That was on that Saturday. And, I signed, they shot over the contract. I signed it, and I was a Miami Dolphin. It was crazy. It happened fast. Me and my agents went out to eat and, just had like a celebratory meal right outside the office. And then I went home and, celebrated with my family. I went to my parents, and it was nice to just sit there, and it was a cool moment to see how proud they were. And to me, I was just like, in my head, I was like, the work's only beginning. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
Like, I'm excited. But it was cool to see how excited and proud they were. And that moment meant a lot to me.
That's awesome. Just as a side note, we had Mike Tannenbaum speak to our class
Mm-hmm.
one time, and he went out of his way to mention how impressed he was with you and everything
Oh,
else
well,
at
that's
that
awesome.
time. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen him a
Uh,
couple times since, and we have a good relationship. It's always we always, if we see each other wherever it may be, we always stop and have a little talk. He's a good guy.
Good guy, absolutely. So you're with the Dolphins now, and then
Hmm.
what happens? What happens then?
So the way it works is you're there for OTAs, then a little mini camp. The Dolphins don't necessarily have a rookie mini camp, so we just got, we're thrown into workouts and then some OTAs practices with the team, the full team, and then it's all in preparation for camp. So I was there from OTAs until after preseason, like the last possible day. I got better there. More importantly, I got better at football. I got better at kicking. But the Dolphins have this amazing player engagement program. Their guys, Caleb Thornhill and Yves Vitoba, they're awesome. They help me, more important than football, and I'll always believe this. They help me become a better man. They have this program where they teach you about finance, about, they have life coaches, they have all types of education where every day of the week's a different topic. So, if it wasn't for them, I would know nothing, or I'd know less about mortgages and compounding interest and, just examples. Um, but their program was unbelievable. So more important than football, they helped me become a better man and a better person. And in turn, I believe that helped make me a better football player. Um, and then as far as football goes, went through training camp. They decided to, I did well. I went, I think, 1 for 1 on PATs and 3 for 3 on field goals in the preseason, which is, what it comes down to. You've got to make kicks in games. But then they decided to go with Jason, who I've actually been training with lately. He's a good kicker. I held my head up high, and I knew it wasn't the end. I had a feeling it wasn't the end for me. Um, and so I was at home after that for a little bit. Obviously, I didn't have to go too far. I was right down the road, but I stayed on my same regiment. I stayed exactly how I would have been kicking with the Dolphins. And then that Monday, actually, right after I got cut, I got flown out to Cleveland for a workout. I did well. The coach liked me, and he said, "Okay, we're gonna stick with our guy, but we have you in mind in case anything goes wrong." And I never ever wish any ill will on another kicker.
Correct.
Period. I'm good friends with Zane, but a couple weeks later, he didn't have the best of games, so they called me up for another workout. I was there with Blair Walsh, Cairo Santos, and Giorgio Tavecchio, and had a good workout. And they took me aside and they're like, "Yep, we're gonna sign you." So at that moment, there's just like a billion thoughts going through your head. I texted my parents right away because I wanted them to be the first to know. Your phone starts blowing up once it breaks. I'm sitting in this land that I've, only been to once before in this building, and I'm just like, oh my God, I'm in Cleveland now.
Yeah.
Everything just happens fast. I got signed on a Monday, I want to say, and we had a Thursday night game versus the Jets. quick turnaround. Didn't even have time to think, which is probably for the better. But there's just so many thoughts going through your head at that time, and I was excited. I was excited for the journey ahead.
Speaking of the Jet game, September 21st, 2018, it had been 653 days, I believe, since the Browns had won a game.
Mm-hmm.
And cutting to the chase, they would win that night. Everyone in the city got free beer or whatever. They unlocked coolers
Yeah,
all
the
the bars.
dilly coolers.
And somebody in the room here was involved in starting all that by kicking getting the first points of the game, and kicking actually 2 field goals and also an extra point, correct, in that game?
I think I had 2 field goals. It's weird how my memory works. I can recall almost any field goal or any kick. I think I had 2 field goals and 2 PATs that game.
Okay.
First one was a 45 left, and yeah, it was that was the nicest kick to get out the way, period. Because obviously it's a whole new environment. Um, your first one on Thursday Night Football, and I was rushing a little bit, and yeah, just that was a nice one to see go through, and then try to catch a rhythm after that.
Yeah, the entire world was watching. I remember when you replaced Zane. There was a Twitter from a guy that's on the NFL Network now. He goes, tough luck with Cleveland Browns. They've signed a gentleman named Greg Joseph from Florida Atlantic. I've never heard of Greg Joseph, and he mentioned your stats, whatever, going forward. And I just want to, if Ian's listening now, that Greg made 85% of his kicks when he was at Cleveland. So I guess he turned out okay, Ian. But
No, yeah, and that was part of the reason why, because I know my college stats weren't the best, and I knew if I knew then what I know now would have been completely different. But I can't change it. I wouldn't change it, and that's why I emphasized how important it was for me to get better from my last bowl game to pro day, and that's what the work people don't see, and that's why, I was ready to prove people wrong.
And you certainly did. And when I see that honorable mention in Conference USA, I said, come on. I said, I'm trying to look back and think of better kickers in the conference at that time. And I'm biased, but I couldn't do it. Honorable mention. Okay, whatever. The time in Cleveland ends, and then you get signed to the Tennessee Titans practice squad. Yes.
So the time in
Uh,
I go through that whole season, make some
yes.
great relationships,
Yes.
do well, go through all of OTAs and mini camp and camp with them, but they drafted a rookie, so I was competing with him, and yeah, then the time ended there, and so actually I was home for a little bit. I had a bunch of workouts after that point. Obviously came home from Cleveland. Um, I I got called to a whole lot of workouts. The first one being the Jets. I went to the Lions. I went to the Patriots. I went to Indianapolis twice. Um,
Now when you
and
say
then
tryouts or I guess
mhm,
auditions, that
workouts. Yeah.
that
Mhm.
usually happens during the season on a Tuesday, right?
Yes.
If the kicker
Yes.
really screws up or gets injured or whatever, they bring a bunch of yous in on a Tuesday, tryout Tuesday, I
Yeah.
call it.
Or sometimes it's even like in the Lions case, it's just the team's doing their due diligence, knowing
Okay.
what's out there. But yeah, it's usually on a Tuesday. Some days it's on a Monday if a team's in a rush.
Hmm.
But you watch the games. Your agent can get a call late Sunday night or early Monday morning, and bam, you're on a plane. So I kept the suitcase packed. I was on the road a lot, and nothing really stuck. I had good workouts, but I knew I wasn't putting it all out there and showing people the kicker I could be until I took a step back and just reevaluated and got back on track. And then Carolina had called me for a workout. I went up there. I did well. It was probably my best workout, but and yeah, they have Joey Sly, who's you become friends with. He's a good kicker, and he struggled the week before, so they just signed me to the practice squad for whatever reason they may have. Getting to work with those guys, with their long snapper and their punter, and even with Joey, it made me better. So I took it for what it was, because their long snapper's been in the league a long time. Pilardi's been in the league, and he had kicked in college, so he knows what to look for. And they are a very in sync unit, so they help me understand what a like what you could look for in a unit and from different perspectives because they're very good at that. So I got my main point is that I got better while I was in Carolina. Um, and yeah, then I think it was a Monday. I think I was going on my fourth week in Carolina, and my agent called me. He's like, hey, do you know why I'm calling you? And I was like, well, I assume, I'm getting out of Charlotte. What's up? He's like, yeah, you are. You're gonna be on a plane to Tennessee. They're signing you off the practice squad because any team has that right to sign you off of a practice squad at any time. And that was the beginning of my Titans journey. From there on, I was living out of a suitcase in Charlotte. I, had the Panthers, some of the staff, they shipped some stuff home for me, and I went with my suitcase, and I was onwards to Nashville. First time ever heading to Nashville.
So you were signed off of the Panthers practice squad by the
Yes, I
Titans.
was on the Panthers practice squad, which
Okay.
essentially means, I'd work out with the practice squad guys. I'd work out with Joey too. And I did everything Joey did. We'd kick on the same days. We'd help each other. We we wanted to make each other better because we're both young and he's a nice kid. And you treat me the way I'll treat you. And we got along great. We still talk. We still pick each other's brains. And I did everything Joey did, just obviously not play on Sundays. On Sundays, I would go out and kick beforehand during warmups. I'd get there early and then I'd go work out and then I'd come out and help the guys in any which way they can because, I don't want to see people fail. That's just, I'll never wish ill will on any specialist, like I've said. But yeah, then over to the Titans and it was game time.
That's, you've said that twice now that you never
Mm-hmm.
wish any ill will, and that's amazing. And you've also mentioned a couple of times that you become close friends or good friends with some of
Mm-hmm.
your competitors that,
Yeah,
either beat you out or you beat them out. It's an
mhm.
amazing fraternity.
It's a small world.
Yeah,
Only we are the only ones that know what each other go through.
yeah.
In a sense, you can tell people about it and you can talk to people about it and people think they know, but to an extent, people don't really know unless they've been in games, kicking. And it's a fraternity. It's just that I'm close with a lot of kickers. I'm good friends with a lot of kickers, and I work with a bunch of them down here. It's a and we also push each other to get better, and that's it's a good thing because if the level keeps going up and up and up, we're gonna just keep getting better ourselves too.
Well, the one good thing is that Robinson didn't draft any kickers in the draft this time
Hmm.
around. He's given, and I've seen it a lot when general managers talk about kickers. They don't want to, or anybody really, they don't want to basically hand you the job. They say it's open and there's going to be
Hmm.
competition and all this other stuff. But the fact is that you're still there and you're going to be going for a job, and that's good. You and I have something in common now, that we've both worked at Nissan Stadium.
Oh,
I actually opened the place.
oh
The
wow.
first year I worked. I actually worked as a consultant with CSC, the security company that had the contract, and we were doing a layout of the stadium and planning and post and all that. And the one thing you have to check on, maybe during like the first quarter of a game when you're not doing anything, run outside and see if there's an external public address system that speaks to
Okay.
the people when they come in. Let me know if there, because it wasn't there then, and that was a big problem. And there was no
Mm,
plans to put it in. So
You
write that
have
down, Greg.
you have my word. I will.
Yeah, sure you're going to worry about that. And also on opening night of I forget who they're playing. It was a Titans exhibition game. They had some issues, and they had issues with the plumbing because they did not conduct a royal flush before the stadium opened. Have you ever heard of what a royal flush is? Not in a car game.
I know what a royal flush is in poker.
Yeah,
I assume a royal flush in a stadium is when you try to flush every toilet at once.
at the same time. Okay, and
Yeah.
they just did it with the Raiders Stadium out in Vegas, and they're getting ready to do it with SoFi in Inglewood. But yeah, to test to see if the plumbing can hold up or if everyone's in there
At
at the same
maximum.
time. Yeah, so you
Wow.
bring in Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts and from kids clubs and everything else, and there's different people, and 1 2 3 and boom. I guess it's hard to do if it's an automatic flusher, but you got to move in front of the thing, I guess, or whatever. But they did not do that in about maybe the third quarter of the game. um, the people that were in the suite level, was getting, I guess the best way to put it was getting some type of
Uh,
visitors from the upper level, and it wasn't in the form of human visitors. It was yeah. So basically, we had to
wow.
clear the entire suite level out and move and close all the restrooms off because again, it was sold out. The first game ever in the history of that stadium. And yeah, so
What
that's
year was
just
that?
another tip. Geez, it was their very first year down there. It was the
Yeah,
first year they opened. I
I'm
guess
I'm just not sure what year that may have been, but
99. No, no, maybe
it
not.
sounds right. It sounds
Yeah,
right from when I've looked it up.
yeah,
But wow, what a story.
yeah,
That's awesome.
absolutely.
So next time, first home game this year, I will make sure to tell someone to run out and check.
Yeah,
I can't give you my word that I like to be a man of my word. I can't give my word that I will run out.
I can deal with
But I
that,
will
man.
also I'll also make sure to ask someone if they have had a royal flush so far.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's a
and see
funny
if there's
story. That's
anyone there.
awesome.
See if anyone is there that remembers that. It was known as the Adelphia Coliseum at the time. That's gone over under a couple of name changes, but yeah,
Got it. Hmm.
Adelphia was actually a founding partner of FAU football,
I
Adelphia
remember it.
Communications.
Oh, really? I
Yeah,
didn't know that either.
yeah, and
Wow.
they were in that room. I guess it's now a study hall, but they were in that founders room that overlooked the practice field.
Oh,
They had
cool.
a plaque there. Yeah. So, okay, moving on, I guess to the current day situation that, you as a pro athlete, um, I guess there's in the middle of, I guess we're getting to the whole Charles Barkley thing way back when, and I'm not a role model or I'm not a symbol, but I guess I think being as a pro athlete at some point, you have to be somewhat involved. You have to maybe say something or want to say something, just given the whole societal conditions. And it keeps
Hmm.
increasing. It started out with COVID-19 and the pandemic and what's going on back in March. March 11th, basically all sports shut down, everything was shut down, schools shut down, online learning. And then we came into the unfortunate timing of the deaths of the people by the police brutality, uh, the George Floyds and what have you. And so there was items going on there, and then it was almost coming into the fact that people felt that they needed to make a statement, be it a team, be it an organization, be it a university, that someone had to come out. There was, for a time where people were putting up the black squares on their
Hmm.
Twitter accounts and what have you, and just saying something, and also feeling that if you didn't say something, you were being silent. Silent is compliant, or silence
Yeah.
is compliance, or
Hmm.
silence is violence, or what have you. And I've had this discussion with our students, because we have a very good mix of an ethnic background and of what's going on and what needs to be said. And I thought at some point um, there might have been some people just coming out and saying stuff because, quote unquote, it was the thing to do. It was trending. It was almost like follow the leader. And I think I'm being backed up by now. And I think when we've seen LeBron and I believe somebody else, that's not going to put any of those statements on the back of their jerseys. They're going to leave it blank, or they're going to put their own name because, there does things need to be said. Players need to say stuff. Celebrities need to get involved. Their fans look to that. I just want to
Hmm.
throw it out in general to get some of your points and some of your thoughts on everything that's happened from COVID to George Floyd to what Deshaun Jackson came out, and then now Nick Cannon with and Dwayne Wade backing it up. It always seems that people are in a rush to say something. That's what I was trying to get at. They feel they need to say
Yeah.
something, and they wind up saying the wrong thing, and then they're walking it back. And that's happened a
Yeah.
lot. You know, just your thoughts on that.
Yeah. So let's just go step by step then. We'll
Yeah,
start at COVID, and
certainly.
we'll go in that order.
Yeah,
Obviously we all want to get back to work, but what's going on is absolutely terrible. This is unforeseen territory because never in a million years would we envision that we have to walk around with masks and people are catching this invisible virus, and it's anything's bad when people are dying. The numbers in the hundreds of thousands now in America. I believe I saw the number is about to eclipse that of all soldier fatalities in World War II. as far as the U.S. goes, which is crazy to think of.
Right.
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing right now and the biggest help to get sports back is everyone has to stay safe, because there's no way you could bring sports back. We follow the public guidelines. We're human too. If there are hotspots in certain areas like there's in South Florida now, that puts all the dolphins, and all the marlins and all the panthers at risk, and that puts sports at risk in general. I think some countries hit it right and some countries didn't get it right as far as the lockdown and handling it. But there are people a lot smarter than me and a lot more educated on me that make those decisions. I'm just here to live by it. I know personally I've tried to stay safe. I've gone and done my business. I work out at a gym where there's not many people at it all and that they clean thoroughly. I kick on a field, so obviously that's not too big of a worry. And I try not to be in a big group too many times, because now, especially now, we're getting close to season. Like a couple months ago, and I wasn't, but I could have maybe afforded to be more careless, just because, okay, if you get it, you get over it. But now I have to be more careful in the fact that if I do get it, I can miss a couple weeks of work, and I do not want that at all. I cannot, that's not okay with me. So now I'm being
Correct.
extra careful in the fact of who I'm around, where I'm going. Obviously I'm wearing facial protection. I'm thoroughly cleaning my hands. I'm not touching my face, unless I know my hands have been cleaned and I absolutely need to touch my face. But yeah, I just hope we, see the end of this soon. I hope people stay hopeful, and it's tough when you're stuck at home. My grandparents are both in their 80s. They, have both had their respective health issues, and they haven't got to leave the house in 5 months. I can't imagine how crazy there is. So, us as a
Sure.
family, we've tried to step up. My mom or whoever gets them food, drops off everything they need by the door. And when we go and see them, we have to sit in the driveway. And it's nice for them to get a break and they go outside and we get to talk to them and catch up. But who would have ever thought that I wouldn't be able to sit in the same living room as my grandparents with a fear of them contracting something that I might not even know I have.
Correct. Yeah.
No matter how healthy I feel, and I feel great. I've been watching myself, and I, am, very much protective against getting COVID. But it's just you come into contact with one wrong person, and it's scary. But I think we need to stay hopeful, and it's a time that I took to reflect, and I know I was being isolated, but I tried to connect furthermore to people in isolation, meaning, I took it upon myself to reach out to people, and just that simple text that says, "Hey, how are you doing? Are you okay?" It can make all the world of difference. And it took me 10 seconds to write. And if it leads to a conversation, great. Or if they just want to let me know how they're doing, perfect. I tried to do that, and I tried to, and it's such a time of disconnection. I tried to connect more, and that led me to trying to reach out to organizations such as, Helping Hands or food banks or whatever, or Meals on Wheels, to try to help get, people who are scared to go outside meals. Because while I'm being safe, I would, I would take that a little bit of that risk to help others, which I didn't get to do as much as I wanted to with them, but nevertheless, it's still going on, and there's still room for me, to help.
Yeah. That's amazing. And you see a lot of people like yourself in positions to do that and want to do that. And you know, knowing you and hearing you talk here, and knowing you from when you were at FAU, it's not just about look what I'm doing, and not putting it up on Twitter. You're doing it
Mm-mm.
because you really want to do.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
And you're
I don't care about the news articles or the publications. I do it because I enjoy helping people.
that's awesome, and that's where we see some of these people where they're putting it up, or they're putting up a statement, um, to be seen. Are they doing it to get
Mhm.
noticed? Or are they doing it to, to get their company or their
Yeah.
product noticed?
And don't get me wrong, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. People need good publicity. It's
Yeah,
just not something I necessarily care about or do it for. I
we
believe if you do the good things follow, period.
we had one of our students in class last night. She came up with a great quote. We were talking about social responsibility and
Hmm.
corporate social responsibility. And back in the 70s, there was this article written by Milton Friedman, and
Okay.
he had some really wild views. And everyone says it's outdated because he says the only responsibility that a company has to its stakeholders and shareholders is to make money and not to worry about it. And she came up, she says, given today's circumstances, it is possible to marry profitability and social responsibility in good ways. And I thought that was very
100%
enlightening.
agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
100% agree.
So we're seeing
And
all these. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so I do a lot of work with Lululemon as
Yeah,
far as the company, and going back to my time with the Dolphins, we did a workshop with them, and that was a huge weekend for me in building the man I am. Like, yes, I know they have comfortable clothes and this and that, but behind the company, the people are absolutely amazing, and they have a whole side of their company that's dedicated to athlete leadership development. I have found, that is a passion of mine. That's what I want to go into after football. So I stay close to them. And I was actually talking to a guy I consider a mentor, and he works for Lululemon. He's on, a bunch of panels for them, and he is, he goes out to different teams, different businesses, and helps break down the man you are or the woman you are, and make you a better human being. That's something I would love to do with my life. And we were talking yesterday, and he said, every company, this relates to what you're saying, everyone just wants something to say, and a lot of people go out and say it, and it might be misconstrued. But there's that sweet time of having the right thing to say and when to say it. A lot of companies can't afford to, if something happens, they wait and they want to get it right, and by the time they say something, it's wrong. So
yeah,
that actually relates to what you're saying, and it made me think of it when you brought it up.
absolutely. And I've read about it, and I've seen your involvement with Lululemon, and I
Hmm.
think that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I
And
think that's
it
great to
goes to
get involved.
show they're a great company. They kept every employee as per scheduled. Even the stores closed and they still had online sales, but they kept, if you were scheduled, they duplicated that schedule for the whole 2 months. The stores were closed, and they paid their employees. They know their employees rely on that pay, and that, I think, is the difference between a good company and a great company. And they showed that it's not just all about their profitability, but they'll take care of their own, and they invest in their own via workshops and trainings and life coaches. And I think it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Before we get into the other items that we had presented, still staying on the COVID, uh,
Mhm.
and you're following it like everyone else. It seems, especially in the colleges, that everyone, again, talking about saying something, is coming out and saying something, and it appears for every conference, be it in the Power Five or the Group of Five or Division Two, everyone's saying something different, and sometimes they're saying the same thing, and not that it's getting monotonous, but I think at times too many people are saying too much stuff with
Mhm.
about coming back and when we can come back and how we can do it, and they'll go so far, and then you get to a point where what is your plan? What is your plan for letting people into the stadium safely? And what is your plan, about ensuring that athletes, do not get this or can pass it along to other people? I mean, so far we've had the NBA and MLS do it. They've had some instances of testing positive, but they
Mhm.
remain pretty close to the bubble. Um,
Mhm.
one of our students in class, Frank Diaz, he's a graduate assistant over there now in football. He asked the question, how do you put FAU football in a bubble? How do you put the Cleveland Browns in a bubble with the sheer amount of people?
Yeah, exactly. I That's a good question.
Yeah,
I'm eager to see what it looks like when I do head back to Nashville. But as of right now, I don't know. I don't, have the answer to that. But and how do you restrict people from seeing their family, from going
exactly.
home? And yes, we have, during camp, there's supposed to be 90 of us. That's a lot of people.
Comparatively, yes, to the NBA and MLS.
Hmm.
Okay, and boys will be boys, humans will be humans. They're going to try and do something maybe to get out of the quarantine, to get out of the bubble,
Hmm.
you know. But with the smaller squads, like in soccer and in basketball, you have people like LeBron or Anthony Davis that are there to say to the younger guys, hey, cut the crap. this is what we need to do. And, it's a smaller roster that you can control and that
Yes.
uh, you can implement, or you can pass along suggestions. When you have a large football roster of 90 guys, or in colleges maybe even more,
Mhm.
there's only so many veterans, or only so many informal leaders or captains that can get that message out, that the chance of that succeeding fully 100% goes down a little bit. So it's
Mhm.
the pure numbers that we're talking about.
Exactly. And even more so in the NFL, there's a different mindset in college. Everyone's there because they know they're good at what they do, and they're more focused, and they're maybe a bit more driven than some athletes in college. In college, I think it's a lot harder, because there's even more people. You can go upwards of 115. And, some people are there to play ball in college. Some of them have no desire to go to the NFL, so they want to enjoy college while playing ball. So
Right.
that's got to be even more so of a challenge, because there's more gaps in leadership than the NFL, where we're all like-minded. And, if your captain of your position group says something and you're a rookie, you better listen.
Yeah. Okay, so moving along to the other items that
Mhm.
we were going to talk about in terms of the social conditions and societal situations, I'd be interesting to hear your thoughts on that, Greg.
Yeah. So I believe you brought up George Floyd first.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, I think what happened to him is brutal and awful and unlawful. And my biggest message. So I'm one of those that I support my teammates in any which way I can, um, and I let them know. I had conversations with people I'm close to, and Vrabel reached out to all of us, and he did a great job in letting us know he's there for us. And I know the Titans released a video, but my whole thing was, and I know this has been said before, and it kind of helped mold my views, that I understand that I don't understand. I just know that I'm here for you, and I don't know at that point. I don't know what my support looks like to you, but I'm here for you, and I don't think it's okay. Um, you know, and then there was all that firing of the quote, like you brought up. Well, if you do nothing, you're on the side of the oppressor. I made sure I wanted to spearhead that, and I'm like, I'm on your side. I support you in any which way. And I just wanted to let, all my African American friends close to me and my teammates, that I'm there for them. And, I think that was a big step for me, and a big step for, everyone to just try to realize, like, we're humans at the end of the day. I don't believe that should happen to any single one human, period. It's relevant now because it's happening, and it's absolutely awful. And I think we need to weed that out of our system,
Sure.
just from a point of humanity, because, there's so many good people that don't deserve that. And I just believe we should treat each other well. And maybe that's a bit naive to say, but it's truly what I believe. And it sounds simple, but it's obviously a lot harder to do than we expected.
I know, we had the Deshaun Jackson comments,
Hmm.
that he tried to walk back. And again, it's like, we were talking about, you make these statements, and um, then they come back and say, well, I didn't really mean it that way. I mean, if you look at his tweet, his comments, it's not something off the top of your head that just flies
Yes.
out.
No.
No,
Yeah.
you really had to think about
Hmm.
what the hell you were saying there, and to make and then come back the next day and build on that. Um, I don't know. So walking it back, and then, I guess personally I was a little disappointed in the penalty that was given, or the lack of penalty, the lack of discipline that was given. Um, and given the fact that the Philadelphia Eagles, the owner, Jeffrey Lurie, and the general manager, Howie Roseman,
Jewish.
are both
Hmm.
Jewish.
Yeah. So
Um, I don't
yeah.
know.
So I mean, I'm Jewish. I don't think I've mentioned it before. I was raised, obviously, in South Florida, which is a very Jewish population. I have a great support system, and I hold my beliefs close to my heart. Um, when I saw that, I actually got asked about it right away, and I told, I've done a couple podcasts, with some kids who I enjoy helping out, and then ever since then, I've done a couple of podcasts, that focus on Jewish athletes. And my whole goal in that is to, first of all, this is a little side note. My whole goal in that is not to be like, hey, I'm a Jewish athlete. My whole goal in that is to help show Jewish children that if you just put your head down and work, we're no different than anyone else. I tell them, I'm one of you guys. You can get to where I am. You just have to work hard. I'm no different. I wasn't built any different. I literally grew up in the same community as you. Which I think is important for them to hear, because that's what I would have wanted to hear when I was younger. But I just told them, just change your mindset. We're not different. We're the same, and don't use your platform as a crutch. It's not there to hurt you. Use it as a step up, because that's what I do. Meaning my Jewish platform. But going back to your question, when first asked about it, like I said, I took time to educate myself on it. And what it comes down to, a lot of people's calling it, is ignorance. I don't know Deshaun, but I've heard a lot of good things about him from that, aside, from that comment. Yes, the comment is out there. It's not something on the top of your head. And I saw somewhere too that it wasn't just, a quote by Hitler. It was a misquote by Hitler, which is obviously bad. Anytime you're quoting him and a human of what he's done, not good. But my thing is as Jews, we've been through a lot of persecution. Even in Boca Raton, you see little snippets of it here and there. Thank God it hasn't been, too forceful or, too physical, but you have seen the occasional spray painting and vandalism of synagogues, Jewish businesses, broken glass, swastikas, all that stuff. And I got this from a talk, I did last Sunday. We're a very forgiving people, and we always take a bit of the chance to help educate instead of retaliate, which I thought was very cool, because it's true. And if you think about it, we don't necessarily, we wouldn't retaliate to Deshaun, but look how many people have reached out, including Julian Edelman and other even non-Jewish people in the NFL, and they're like, hey man, like, we get it. You don't know what you don't know, but we're here to help you. We want to help you understand. And I think it's absolutely amazing that even a Holocaust survivor reached out and invited him to camps. I think that's amazing. And personally, I would love to join him on that trip. But I'm on the same boat as them. I don't know Deshaun, but if I ever got to say anything to him, I'd be like, hey man, like, help me help you. I want to understand where you're coming from, and by me learning, I could hopefully help you learn. And that's my stance on it, because we're forgiving people. Like we said, I don't think, his comments are okay, but the important part is right now he's learning, and, he'll know not to say that again. He'll know he hurt people saying that. And I think that's extremely important to move forward as humanity.
Great outlook. I think a similar one was taken with, I guess he's a lineman or something. I can't remember the team. Schwartz, Jeff Schwartz.
So I was on the podcast with Jeff Schwartz.
You are.
His brother, myself, a tight end for my team, and Jeff Schwartz were all on a podcast on Sunday,
Okay.
or whatever it was. And Jeff had good outlooks on it, and his brother is currently on the Kansas City Chiefs. Jeff used to play. His brother is Mitchell Schwartz, and there was a Pittsburgh Steelers lineman who came out and spoke about it and had really great things to say. I don't remember his name, but he's not Jewish, but he was in a fraternity in college with a bunch of a bunch of his brothers were Jewish, and so he supported them, and it was very cool to hear his perspective. And I'm with him. I think, to me, it doesn't matter what religion you are. I'm still super duper close with Aziz. Aziz and I were born on the same day. We get along. We talk
Aziz
about being a
Al-Shir.
great human. Yeah, Aziz Al-Shir.
Yep.
And obviously I'm Jewish, he's Muslim. There's all that, controversy, but I don't care what religion you are. I care about the human you are. As long as you're a good person, I try to be a good person, so we'll get along,
Absolutely. Thank you for that, and thank you for sharing your thoughts on that. I'm going to close. I want to bring it up once, and you mentioned a little bit about the categories, and this goes back to, I'm going to be 60 in December. This goes back when I was a kid, following Joe Namath and Pat Leahy of the Jets, and Pete Gogolak of the Giants, and all these kickers, and Gary Yepremian, the Dolphins and everything else. And you see it, because NFL films used to make fun of it a lot, the life of a kicker and the lonely life of a kicker. Sometimes you see them at the end of the bench by themselves. Some players will get on. I don't know if it still happens. Will get on the kickers they don't feel that they have to do enough in practice, that they just go and kick. And meanwhile, these linemen are out there doing all the other stuff and what have you. And then they're afraid to stand near him when during a game because they don't want to jinx him when it has to go out and kick a field goal. And then some will say, oh, all he has to do is one thing. You had one job is to kick that. And I felt like saying, you go out and try that in front of, 80,000
Yeah,
people, yelling at you.
of course. Yeah.
It's partially funny. It's partially, when you look at it, and especially when the
Mhm.
NFL films put it as part of the follies sometimes. Um, do you still get that? Do you still get ostracized? Not ostracized sometimes, but um, people are worried about going near you during the game and just staying away from you. And tell me about that.
No, no, I haven't necessarily found that. I do like being on my own in the games. I'll talk to some people here and there, but I usually just stay with my, my guys, my punter and snapper, just because we're all on the same wavelength. I think it's definitely come now more as a joke, maybe, like joking about how kickers don't do much because
Yeah.
especially in today's day and age, we're under a microscope and you see how crucial kickers can be,
Yes.
in big situations and throughout a game, period. So, I definitely think we're a team within a team, myself, the long snapper and the punter, we have to, and obviously we can't do our job without the team, but we get a lot of work together, just us. We work so that our bottom line is good enough. So even on our off day, we're still doing our job. And yeah, I know it's definitely it's not lonely. Lonely is not a word I describe it. We work just as hard as other people. Our position obviously isn't as physical, but we work at our craft, just like they work at their craft, and it's different. We get put under the microscope because we get called up in big situations with not a lot of not a big sample size. Excuse me. You can have a lot of chances in a game to do one certain thing, but you might only have one kick in a game. And that's just an example. Those guys work extremely hard, and we can't do our job with them. But I usually I don't say anything to ever give it like a cheeky aspect of it because that's not who I am, and that's not how I want to be looked at. I want to be looked at as a guy that works just as hard as the guy next to me, no matter if it's the punter or or Tannehill, the first string quarterback. I want to put in the work, and I work that hard so that my teammates, see how hard I work, and I'm not perfect. I'm human. So in one of those moments where I'm not perfect, they have my back. So that's what I strive for. And yeah, we certainly can't do our job without them. But yeah, obviously everyone knows it's not an easy job, but we do it to the best of our ability. And I'm sure as hell going to give it everything I got. And I believe they know that. And just like I'd have their back, I want them to have my back.
I think anybody who has a chance to be around you, be it on a team or in an organization, they need to take advantage of that. Because while you're a great kicker and you're a great performer, you're a better human being, and it's obviously
I I
this.
appreciate that.
Yeah, this has come out in this time that we've had to spend together today. It's not all about sports; it's about life in general, and you've put both in the perfect perspective that a lot more people need to hear and practice. And I want to thank you for your time today, and thanks for being here. Any final
No,
comments? If you're,
thank you. I appreciate you saying that because that's the greatest compliment I can have, or I can receive, period. Because um, in my book, I think in order for me to be a great athlete, I need to be a great human being first. And I try to do that, and I'm always learning and I'm always working at it. So I appreciate you saying that. But no, I appreciate you giving me the time to speak and having me on here. And I've had a blast, and I enjoyed everything we talked about.
absolutely, and hopefully we can do it again, and you'll be around at FAU. Go Owls, as they say. Again,
Absolutely.
thanks again for your time, Greg. Class of 2017, Greg Joseph, the all-time field goal leader at FAU, the holder of the longest field goal ever at
And
FAU, and
points
54
scored for a couple
and
weeks until Motor
and,
took it
and,
over.
and points scored until those darn running backs came in and took over. That's right.
Yeah.
We have to get Katrina to put that on the website. Absolutely. This is Thank you again for Greg Joseph and for the FAU College of Business podcast. Tanya May, our executive producer. This is Dr. Jim Riordan from the FAU MBA in Sport Management program. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.